I built it. I own a parking lot scenario that's used for it. I'm not affiliated with SLU College at all. I just let the Billikens basketball team, have their games there. But anyway, a lot of people have been wondering what was going on, and I had been disconnected from, my birth family since I was a little girl. I got kidnapped. As you know, my mother had already started off her career. My mother's name is Betty. She goes by the name of Betty Wright. As I told you in the other videos, there's other people whom were singing her songs too. She had been writing and been writing with other people. Things went on and on. She had started finding out a lot of things out too, such as Michael Douglas, them, and a lot of other people whom they least expected because they was very. And why would they? I was born with a rare illness. I told you all about that in other videos, and it's that I'm allergic to food. It's a lot of things I have to be careful with. I eat, I just have to make sure that I have my medication and so forth. And the medication I take is always readily available. Um, and two forms it is, well, three forms of it. And but of course, everybody know who I am. And like I said, and a lot of people have never really met me face to face. But I had met a lot of people doing my walk of life, and my life is yet to be complete. I have so much to look forward to. Anyway, when they kidnapped me, they was already plotting to make sure I get something to eat because the doctor said I still had to eat. I always, she kept me busy too, about my illness, about what I couldn't eat, and to you know. When I was a child, a very small little girl, I was born this way. There's no cure for it. Um, it's a way to treat it, but there's no cure. Okay. Um, the thing is this. So when I got kidnapped, Patrick Dempsey, the one had been telling everybody he was my cousin. The same man, Nicolas Cage and Patrick Dempsey, knew that man that was part of my kidnapping. So Nicolas Cage had found out too before I had started seeing Patrick Dempsey again. Patrick, okay. And Nicolas Cage had called and reported it too because they was trying to put something on Nicolas Cage and them, and he was like, no, and he was clearing up himself too because he knew. Then when he found out, because I was telling him address where I lived at, and I had a store, and I said that man always at my store, and keep doing this, and Nicolas Cage went up there and had confronted him about it. And he kept trying to make it seem like people was harassing him. He was already out the wrong anyway. You know, Anyway, he was totally wrong. You kidnapped me. Then, during the kidnapping, Patrick Dempsey was coming around and so forth like that. Like I told you, Smokey Robinson, and everybody knew where I was at. And, but anyway, like I said, I was a sick child. Not sick where I didn't want to do anything, just the fact that when I eat, I guess to make sure I have my medicine readily available. That's just basically it. And watch what I eat. Because I have a food allergy. I'm allergic to food. I'm allergic to certain antibiotics and stuff like that. And that's what it is. I'm allergic to all foods, period. You know. And some things are worse than others. That was the nature of my kidnapping. And at the same time, they started playing games with my mother. So my mom was there. And they just kept at the same time having conversation with my mom about me. As if, they was like, well, she's sick. They always would bring up me being sick. You know, like sometime I be doing good. They was like, oh, look at her little fat self. Because one minute they be looking, I'm like, do you have another one? Then she be like, no, because she said she had to go get my medicine and she would have to go do this and do that. And she started, breaking down, going through a lot of things with the doctors, trying to see what I could have and what I couldn't have. They'll say I could have this, and the next thing and then they say I could have, and it just you off, and I have to keep repeating it repetitive to remind people of this. This is a selfish act from not. It was a selfish act. Then they was telling my mom, so basically went at it and did what they, and everybody already knew I was smart. Everybody knew that. Everybody was around my mom, and everybody knew this and that. So when I was doing little stuff, it was not no shock. It wasn't shocking to Barry Gordon. It wasn't shocking to any other people in the industry because they knew this. They just didn't understand why in the world it would I was still in East St. Louis, Illinois, you know. And then stuff was just going on back and forth, back and forth. All this time I'm home. I wanted to go home. Um, but the thing was this: those reports did not go unnoticed. It's just that the person that was taking those reports and other stuff that had started going on, because I was getting certain mail and other stuff was going on. As you know, I had my career had done started, and I had passed I had took the test and everything to be a doctor, had my license, applied for my DA number, and I had passed the bar. I was excelling at a very young age. You know, um, I was experiencing life of responsibility even before I was near adulthood. I had children. I was working. I was a school teacher. I worked for the city as a precinct commitment person. I also had one township supervisor position, and I had and everything. The list of things just went on and on and on. Every challenge I have always met, and I excelled. You know, I did my job. I did my job as being employed by the FBI. I did my job. You know, and it's just the fact that things had excelled and got out of hand because unknowing people thinking so crazy. And saying things that really just didn't make any sense. You know, but the point is, I got kidnapped, and then my kids got kidnapped. And even before I had Jashira and Michaela, um, I was going to leave them, but my husband, Kevin Gates, didn't want me to leave. He wouldn't let me get my son, little Chris. He'll pull off and all this type stuff. And I'm like, what are you doing? What are you doing? Hugh Hefner like telling me, get my babies, go home. Go to your house, you have things. Hugh Hefner and them knew that. Everybody know that. I was like, what type of husband are you? And that's because Hugh Hefner went off on Kevin Gates. That's who he was arguing with. And he went off on Nipsey and Chris Brown. He went off on all of them, Nipsey brother and them, all of them. And Hugh Hefner had hung out with my boys and this, that, and the other. And he was just telling them what to watch, for us who about a man and people cross dressing and things that they need to know. They was growing up. They were teenagers. Tell them how to wear condoms and all that. They knew about that little stuff, but they still needed to know these type things. And Hugh Hefner had this one girl with him. She was in college. And when you seen her, I'm talking about she would have her makeup on, so pretty, had a blonde wig on, this, that, and the other. All while they was hanging out and this, that, and the other. So she told me they was finna get ready and go. And she said, hold on. She told me meet me at the store, at my store. So I go up to the store. And she get out the car with Hugh Hefner. And she smiled. I said, look at you. She had no makeup on. She had a very short haircut, like a bald cut like Amber Rose hair was. She had that type of haircut, no makeup on or nothing. And she was like, see, you have to know. And she told my sons. And she told Trez. You just pay attention to what you're really meeting sometimes. You know, and the reason why she did that is because she met a guy before, and she has bad skin herself. The white girl does. When she put her makeup on, it looked flawless. You couldn't even tell. And she met a guy. She said, and when he finally seen, because every time he picked up, they was going somewhere. She finally told him, because Hugh Hefner told her that too. Why y'all just don't sit at the house and eat sometime or do this? Let him see you for you really are, because he knows she's smart. He knew she was a college student, and he thinking that she's going around every day, but she wasn't that really. She just like looking nice when she go out. Of course you want to. That's with any woman. And he finally seen. He was like, "Oh, I thought maybe," and he hurt her feelings. Cause he was like, "Oh, look at you," and I understood what she was going through because now I'll be honest with you. All whenever I would get sick and go through my illnesses or whatever. Now, Kevin Gates he just was a firecracker. All the time we had been dating, he'll keep the kids, he'll do this, he'll do that, but he never me away because when I got sick, when my eyes started getting dark and all this type stuff. He didn't do that. He'd be like, look at you, go take your medicine, go lay down. Something like that. Unlike rude ass Chris Brown. Tried to make it seem like it was something terrible. Like, who gonna want you when you ain't got no makeup on? I'm like, what are you talking about? Then Usher was like, because I had been on Usher, which is Terry. He was like, she ain't like that all the time. What is you talking about? Because he had Star Nose and Babyface and them knew that too because they came over, popped over one day. And he was like, oh, look at you. He said, I ain't got no makeup on. And he wiped my face with wet paper towel. I said, He said, you are looking. He already knew that, but he had been seeing me like with a little makeup on, a little foundation or whatever to cover up the darkness around my eyes, you know, because it comes out my pores or any orifice. That's what it does when I get sick. And he was like, look at you. And Smokey Robinson was like, yeah, I told you, look at her. That's her, you know. And, that's the type of stuff I was going through. But the bottom line, me being sick was actually the cause of my kidnapping. And they played on my mother with that. Those other individuals whom she had started dealing with claimed they worked for the FBI. They were playing games, and come to find out they was just regular police officers and stuff. And they knew that man named Ron. And when it was called, my dad is really Ron, the man that was trying to act like he was my father. It was like, who is this man? Kept trying to act like him, and they figured out who it was. Later on down the line. And another person that had started finding out was was a lot of people in the industry. And one in particular, as I told you, go look at the other video when I talk about Atlantic Records and what had perspired and all that type stuff. It's not lengthy, it's not that long, but I had just wanted you all to know these things happened. And but that was just basically the basis of my kidnapping. People talking insurance policies, they was doing this, they was doing that, and one thing was another. They kept playing games and just doing a lot of stuff they had no business doing. You know. And I thank God for giving me the wisdom and the strength to continue to go on. You know. See, people don't realize when oh man, I pray and thank God all the time for my blessings, including my children. And God was not the reason for my pain. God is not going to take something from you that you love. He's not going to take anything away from you. What God would do If it's hurting you, yes, he will remove it from your life, but you will not forget what you went through. You understand what I'm saying? And there is no way in the world me giving birth to my babies who had yet even started walking, yet really crawling, did anything to anybody. Children are not a nuisance to me. Even before I had my children, I was nice. Even to the point, see, that's how I end up kind of getting cool with LL Cool J a little bit because I had already knew him too. Because he fucked up too, but he didn't fuck up like that. It was his mom and Russell Simmons, honestly. But even though when I got mad at him, he'll pop over trying to see what's going on. He told them it was Cheryl and them too, even before stuff got out of hand. He had to figure out what Lorna was doing. You know, they always showed their true colors of what was going on. I had to went blind numerous times and stuff like that. And all those other people that was blind was like, and then people started knowing what my illness is. And they was like, she ain't gonna die for being blind and plus that. And what do you know, and it was just one thing after another to the point where it's that um, they ran check and found out all them people had insurance policies on me. And they canceled them quickly. Quickly. Yes. Quickly. They called me on the phone, asked me what's going on, asked me did I know a person named such and such or this, that, and the other. And then they knew those people weren't related to me, and it was just a whole bunch of stuff. And if those people was related to me, they like, what the fuck y'all doing? How you gonna have insurance policy on somebody but it wasn't my family that did that to me. Anyway, I'm in this here. Now the reason why I'm talking about Kevin Gates is because that is my husband. I know people be seeing on videos and stuff on there. And me and him hasn't been we haven't been together in a while, honestly. Um, Face to face, have not seen them. Um, Social media live and all this, yeah, but not just in the same presence in the same room in a long time. And he talking about how he's married to Drake, and I'm like, what are you doing? When did we get a divorce? What is all this? But as you know, he lied on her. He had sex with his cousin and all this other stuff. He just was just saying anything. You know, I'm not his cousin. People started thinking that me and him was cousins because his granddaddy Willie Gardner used to be like, "There go my granddaughter," and that's what it was. And he thought we was cuz he like, no. It went from girlfriend to kid's mama to wife. You know. So I'm gonna end this here right here. Um, I'll talk to you all later. Um, I'm still in search of my children, and that's pretty much it. But that was the cause of my abduction and the cause of my kids' abduction. The reason why my kids got kidnapped not because they were sick or anything was because people knew thought they was going to get away with it, and Brown and Snoop Dogg, all them and Nipsey them and Lauren London, and it's just a list of so many people. To P Diddy, to LL Cool J. LL Cool J kept lying saying he had my son, and when he was saying all that stuff, I hadn't even had my son yet. I'm not talking about Dior or Lil Chris. I'm talking when I had my son Denarius. Then when I had my other daughter in '87, I didn't even get a chance to name her. I'm like, how would you get her? And then me and Kevin Gates' other daughter, I didn't get a chance to name her either. And then we just, you know, all my kids I had back to back. Less, by the time before my other baby turned while 1 years old, I was pregnant again. That's what's the situation. Same way with Jashira and Michaela. When Jashira turned 1 years old, I was already a couple of months pregnant. But I just, and that's pretty much it. That's pretty much it for now. But that was the reason for my abduction. They played on my mom, and this is they just And another thing, when I got kidnapped, I when that Patrick Dempsey had came and saw me with somebody else or whatever the case was being, and he told the dude here, he said, "Man, what you hit me in the head for, man? No." And then he said, "Well, what you gonna do? Hit me with it?" And he hit him again in the head with another vase. Patrick Dempsey still got that mark inside on his scalp for when he got hit in the head with a vase. And the other dude say, "Man, why you do that?" And it was some woman and a man in there, and I kept telling them, "I want to go home." I say, "Well, I done been over here long enough. I'm ready to go home." That man Ron M had already. It was Ron and Patrick Dempsey, and Patrick Dempsey told me he was my cousin, and well as may be, but he I know he knew my father now. He knew about Sharon that was Sharon. I mean, yeah, Sharon Osborne that was involved in all this other stuff. Well, I'm gonna go ahead and end it here. I've been on here almost 30 minutes, but I just wanted to share this with you all. Let you know life is real. You got to make it work. You know, come out these bad situations. Get your life together. If anything, people try to hold you back from doing the right thing, go ahead and do the right thing. It's not waiting till, the new year come, New Year's resolution. Your resolution is to honor God, pray for forgiveness, and do right. Take ownership of what you did wrong and correct your ways as you go along. That's what you celebrate.